excited because I am actually going to bake one of my favorite types of things today. I like carrot cake so much because I like the cinnamon and the carrots, and it makes me feel like I'm actually being healthy. But this is actually going to be healthy as compared to other, carrot cakes. This is going to be a carrot cake loaf because it was supposed to be cupcakes, but I don't have the liners for the cupcakes or the muffins. It's actually supposed to be muffins, so that's not gonna happen. So I'm just gonna make it into one big loaf because that's easier, which means I will have to change the cooking time and lots of other things, and it may not work as well because I'm not using eggs for this recipe. But, oh well, let's begin. I found this recipe. It is called Food with Feeling, and this recipe is for their healthy carrot cake muffins, and it has a cup of flour, half teaspoon of baking soda, teaspoon of baking powder, pinch of salt, half teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/4 cup of maple syrup, half cup of almond milk, 3 tablespoons of nut butter, teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1 medium banana mashed, half cup of grated carrots, and then a 1/4 cup of chopped walnuts or pecans plus toppings if you want. So a lot of the stuff is pretty much going to stay the same because this recipe is pretty awesome. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to probably change the cooking times and some other things because I don't have all the ingredients that I want. Anyway, so these dry ingredients here are, I ended up using a half cup of almond flour, half cup of buckwheat flour. Then I put in the baking soda. I don't have any more baking powder, it went bad. So I have to use the baking soda. So because of the 3 times ratio, since it said a teaspoon, I ended up putting about 1/3 of a teaspoon of baking soda extra, which means I'm just gonna have to make sure that I have a acidic ingredient in it. Also the salt and cinnamon's here. So that's all to the side. So then what we're gonna actually put in this bowl are all the wet ingredients. So what I have here is the mashed banana, and I already put in the 3 tablespoons of the nut butter, as well as the vanilla extract that I called for. It just made my life easier to mix it all together because I ended up using frozen bananas. You have to be careful because when you have frozen bananas, it changes not only the texture, but it also changes the amount of liquid that comes out because it stores the liquid. So what I ended up doing is I let it thaw a bit, and then I dumped out as much water as I possibly could. And then let's add the milk. I used the almond milk, about half a cup. I also took just a teeny weeny bit out because I know there's extra liquid from the bananas. And then we have the maple syrup, which is not going to happen. There's a good amount of acidity when it comes to honey, enough to actually, hopefully, counteract the baking soda. So I'm going to put the full amount of that, which is going to be count 4 because when do I ever measure the honey? I think that's the right amount. So we're going to mix that together. Okay, so we're going to pour in the dry. I'm actually going to sift it a little bit at a time, just because I know I had a little bit of clumps and it calls for sifted flour. So we're gonna sift. Okay, that's all the sifting and a couple pieces I took out, which I guess is good. Okay, so we are well combined. And now we put in the half cup of grated carrots that I did. And I'm not gonna put nuts because I don't have any that I would want to add. I don't have walnuts, I don't have pecans. Any other nuts that I have would change the flavor. So I'm just going to stick with the carrots here. Plus I have a good amount of protein already with the almond flour, so I don't really need extra protein here. Okay, so now I am going to put this in a loaf pan that I have already buttered. Hopefully buttering is enough, so let's just pour. Because of how the coloring is when it comes to the flours, it may be difficult to tell whether or not it is cooked completely. So with this one, we're probably going to do a toothpick. In my opinion, you want to do a toothpick as compared to a knife, because a knife already has a nice enough surface area that you don't have to worry about things normally sticking. It has less friction. Therefore, you want something that has higher friction level, like wood, which helps with making sure that crumbs are sticking or not, or liquid sticking or not. That's just my opinion. So we're going to throw this in for I'm going to go with about 35 minutes. And we'll just keep checking it as we go. because it is a loaf as compared to the muffins, which have higher surface area. So since we have lower surface area here, we need to have a longer time because I'm still cooking at the same time. So now we wait. Okay, so it's been approximately about an hour. I actually left it in there for 50 minutes, which was the best choice I could have made. And I let it cool for about 10 minutes. So let's just cut it open and have a little look-see. There we go, that's the inside, and it's still steaming if you can see the steam. I can. So let's try this out. Very light. It's definitely not like a carrot cupcake or carrot cake, which is much sweeter than this. This is a very simple loaf type bread recipe, so it's not as sweet. If you wanted it to be sweeter, I would definitely suggest doing the maple syrup instead. But overall, not that bad. Very simple. Nice to put maybe some honey or cream cheese or butter on it, but pretty good. Let's just do the breakdown. So what I did is a cup of flour, which was half almond flour, half buckwheat flour. Then I did about a half and a third teaspoon baking soda, did a pinch of salt, teaspoon of cinnamon. I did 1 banana mashed completely. Did about 3 tablespoons of nut butter, about a teaspoon-ish of vanilla extract, about half a cup of milk, so I used almond milk, about half a cup of grated carrots, and I think that was it. Oh yeah, and then I used the 1/4 cup of honey as well. You could always increase the honey, increase the sugar if you want, but again, be careful of the ratios. If you're going to increase the sugar, your best bet is to use a nut butter that has sugar already in it or something that already has sugar from what you're already doing. So an overly ripened banana may also be a great choice. But overall, it was a really good recipe, and I definitely suggest you trying it and putting your own spin on it, adding nuts, adding even grated apples, you know, so it's completely up to you. Try it out, and I'll catch you next time. And I think I'm gonna go for another piece. And we're definitely gonna do some love with this.